So this is the story of how I became a Hollywood insider. So I'm home one day, and Betty White comes over, and she's like, we gotta go, why aren't you dressed? And I'm like, what do you mean we have to go? Where are we going? We're going to a party. What party? At Britney's house. Why are we going to a party at Britney's house? Because she just got, freed from that conservatorship. She's having a celebration. You could show some respect and go. So I'm like, okay. So I get dressed and go. So we get to Britney's house, and we're there and partying. Well, everyone's partying. I'm trying to keep a low profile. And next thing you know, cops show up. And of course, the music's down and everything. Music's off now because the cops are there. Everyone's quiet. And they start lecturing Britney how she's, just got over being taken off the conservatorship. And she should be careful about who she hangs out with. And then next, Paris Hilton comes up to me and gives me her phone. She's like, take this. I'm like, why am I taking this? She's like, take this. She finally gives it to me and walks away. And then, of course, the phone rings. And, of course, Paris Hilton's ringtone is fuck the police. So then, of course, the two cops look at me now. And the whole party's looking at me. And so I'm thinking quickly, I go, and Miss Hilton, I'm keeping this phone until you change that ringtone. This is really disrespectful. And then one of the female cop looks at me and she goes, oh my God, it's you. And I'm like, yeah, it is. She goes, Judge Clarence Thomas, why are you at this party? I wouldn't think this is your type of crowd. I'm like, well, I'm here to make sure that no shenanigans happen. That's why I had to take that young lady's phone. How disrespectful of a ringtone can you have? And I'm not giving it back to her until she changes it. And she knows it. That's why she walked away. And so then the cops look at Britney and they go, see, Miss Spears, these are the type of people you need to be hanging around with and having your inner circle. Before we saw Judge Thomas over there, we were going to call for backup, bring in some drug-sniffing dogs, confiscate drugs, and start taking people to jail. But because we know Judge Thomas is such a fine and upstanding citizen that none of that would be happening here, we're just going to leave. And they looked at me and they're like, thank you, Judge Thomas, saves us a nice work. And so they left. And the party went on again, and you think everyone was happy. And next thing you know, Britney grabs the mic and she starts going, well, everybody, I'm thankful that you're here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for supporting me through the whole conservatorship fiasco. And I'd like to give a big round of applause for Judge Clarence Thomas. And then they put the spotlight on me. And everyone's like, it's all silence. And Britney's like, come on, everybody. Give a big hand for Judge Clarence Thomas. Of course, silence again. One guy even boos. And then Britney goes, look, everybody. If it wasn't for Judge Thomas over there, those cops wouldn't have left as soon as they did. They were going to call for backup, take all your drugs, and half of you would have been in jail. And you would have lost your drugs. And then the crowd's like, whoa, thanks, Judge Thomas, woo. So I got a big, huge ovation. People like, Judge Thomas for mayor. Judge Thomas for governor. Judge Thomas for president. And then some guy goes, Judge Thomas for emperor of the earth. Woo! And then she's like, Britney takes my back. Thank you. Thanks for giving it up for Clarence Thomas. We got to keep it down. We don't want the cops back. So, everybody have a good time. DJ hit it. So the DJ hits the music. Everyone's partying again. Then Britney puts out her phone, looks at me, looks at her phone. She goes, you're not Clarence Thomas, are you? I'm like, no. She goes, well, why did you respond when they said you were? I'm like, it happens all the time. So I right now I just roll with it. She's like, oh. So thank you for saving my party. And have a good time. She goes, you know what? I like what that last guy said. I'm going to call you the Emperor. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, the Emperor. You saved my party. And I'm telling everyone how you kept the cops away and kept the drug sniffing dogs away. Now you're going to be the Emperor of the Earth. Well, not the Earth. You'll just be the Emperor. I was like, okay. You know what? I'm going to have some gear made for you that says Emperor on it. Probably a hat, t-shirt. Do you want a tattoo? I'm like, no, I don't need a tattoo. I'm good with what I have. She's like, okay, great. Have a good time. So that's how I became a Hollywood insider, because Britney told everybody that if I'm at your party and the cops show up, once they see me, they're not going to bring in any of the police or drug sniffing dogs and confiscate drugs and take people to jail. So you know how these Hollywood parties are, there's always going to be a lot of drugs. So that's why they always invite me to make sure that none of the drugs are confiscated. And yes, I am now going to be known as the Emperor.